Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Cedarville Stories Podcast. I'm Mark Weinstein, and as you know, we share the incredible journeys of Cedarville students, alumni, and friends who are living out their faith and pursuing excellence in every area of life. Today's guest is someone who's truly hitting the mark, literally. Gracen Fletcher from Boonville, Indiana, recently made history at the Vegas Shoot, one of the world's most prestigious archery competitions, becoming the first woman ever to shoot a perfect 900 score over 3 days. Now she's setting her sights on an even bigger target, the 2028 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles. But what makes Gracen's story even more inspiring is that she's also part of the very first class of Cedarville Online undergraduate students pursuing a degree in accounting while training at the elite level. Gracen's story is one of focus, faith, and perseverance, and I'm thrilled to share it with you today on the Cedarville Stories Podcast. Gracen, before we dive into your archery story, which I know is fascinating, I want our people to get to know you a little bit. So who is Gracen Fletcher? What does she like to do when she's not studying? She's not doing archery. What does she like? Who is she?
So, of course, I grew up in Boonville, Indiana. I've been there my whole life. I enjoy training, raising, breeding Arabian horses. So We have 11 horses right now, all the way from 2 years old all the way up until 26. So we got all ranges there. Train them pretty much every day, which is another reason I chose online schooling, so I could have time with them. I love anything outdoors, hunting, fishing, hiking, you name it, anything outdoors. I love to do that. And I'm also a fiddle player in our family's band, so we travel around, play at festivals, do a lot in our church, and just use that as a way to serve our community.
How did you get such a wide variety of interests? Where did that come from?
So it came from my parents. So we live on a farm, and our farm, we're so blessed to have that place. You can do anything there. So it's big enough. We can have horse pastures. We have hunting spaces. So just growing up in that setting allowed for a wide variety of opportunities to pursue. And then also my parents did very strongly encourage me to pursue different interests.
So let's talk about Arabian horses, because that's kind of unique.
Oh, yeah.
What do you like about them? What's your kind of role with the horses? What do you do?
Okay, so of course, like I mentioned before, I train them. I started riding, when I was able to, so I don't know, 4 or 5 years old. We had a little miniature horse.
Okay.
We'd jump on that thing, run around. Then we got more into the Arabians. We had a friend that we took lessons from. Her main thing was Arabians. And we just absolutely fell in love with them. They have the most amazing personalities. They are very challenging to ride just because you have to teach them everything and you always have to be in control. They're not going to do something for you just because you have to ask them. You have to really ask them specifically and train them specifically. And they have incredible memory, so you have to treat them right.
Okay. So when you think of all your interests, including the horses, the music, the archery, does one rise over another?
I would say that horses and archery are tied. I really like both of those aspects. I probably couldn't pick one over the other. They both have different things that I like about them. Usually when I'm doing really well in the other one of them, sometimes the other one struggles a little bit and vice versa. So it's always nice to have that variety. That way, if you are in a rut in one of those aspects, you can at least be having some success in the other one.
Sure. So when did you get interested in archery? Was this something your family helped you with, or how did you pick it up yourself, or where did the interest come from?
So actually my brother, he started archery when he was 8 years old. He started hunting. At this point, we had no idea about competitive archery whatsoever. So he started shooting quite a bit. Long story short, he started to get into competitive archery, and he started doing very, very well. His first year, he won a state national championship, and my dad was like, well, our whole family is going to be in archery, it looks like, for a while, so you girls might as well learn how to shoot. So that's where I started. At first, I really didn't care for it. I just did it because, might as well do something while we're waiting here at the archery tournaments. But then as I got more into it, I started loving it more and more, and then I just absolutely fell in love with it, and it's just taken off from there.
Okay, so just by listening to you already on the podcast tells me you're somewhat competitive. maybe very competitive. So who's better between you or your brother in archery right now, this day?
I think you're setting up a fight, but it depends.
He's not in the room.
Okay, all right. Competitive archery, I would say I'm better, but as far as knowing all the aspects of a bow and how to put them together, how to tune them, my brother is so good at that. He's so detail-oriented that he's just incredible with all that. And that's an area I struggle.
Okay.
So as far as shooting the bow, right now I'm better just because he doesn't have a chance to practice right now.
Because he's a student at Cedarville.
Because he's a student at Cedarville.
Yeah, which you are too, and we'll get into that story in a little bit. So from the beginning of today's podcast, even before we started recording and listening to you, I could tell that your faith in Jesus is central to who you are. So I'm interested in hearing your spiritual story, but then how does your faith in Jesus shape how you shoot arrows?
Absolutely. So, of course, I grew up in a Christian household, so I got baptized at a very, very young age. I think I was 6 or 7, and then grew up in church, always been active in my faith. And then when archery came on the scene, my faith helped me to ground my purpose in Christ. So instead of finding my purpose in archery, I know that God's given me that gift and I want to use that for his glory, but that's not who I am. And it helps in my competitive spirit because, yeah, I want to win. I do want to do my best for Christ, but I also want to shine his light and be a light to those around me and who I'm shooting with and be the best witness I can.
So how old were you when you started really getting into archery?
10 years old.
10 years old. So a few years. Okay, let's pivot into your archery story. Specifically the Vegas shoot. That's what drew my interest in having you on the podcast because it's a legendary event. On March 8th of 2025, you became the only woman to shoot a perfect 900 over the 3-day event. That's amazing. What went through your mind when you realized that you had a perfect score after those 3 days?
It was a big sigh of relief, first of all. I mean, those 3 days, I was on edge. I was focused, and it was just so nice after that last shot. Okay, I got it. That is so cool. You know, it's something you dream about, but not really something you expect to get. So after that, I mean, I was super, super excited. And then actually, I shot the first line in archery. So what that means is you shoot the bottom target, and then after you step off the line, then the top line shoots. So the person that was tied with me up to the very end, she was still clean. Then that last round, she missed, I think it was her first arrow. And I didn't even realize I had won it just then. Somebody else actually came up to say, hey, you're the only one that stayed clean. I was like, all right. But yeah, it was a big sigh of relief, but it also took a while for it to actually sink in. For those watching and listening, and maybe for me as well, what does it mean to shoot clean? It means you don't drop any points. So the Vegas target, there's 3 spots. The middle ring is a 10 ring, and then inside that 10 ring is an X, but it still counts as 10 points. It's just you write it down as an X. So to shoot clean means you hit all 10s, didn't hit any 9s or 8s or anything like that.
Literally, you were perfect. So when you think of this fact, I did some research, and only 8 other women have ever shot a perfect score. When you realize that you're in that company, what does that mean to you as a person and as a competitor?
Well, it made me realize that my dreams can come true through a lot of work, obviously, and it was incredible to realize that God had put me in that position for a specific purpose, and still trying to figure out what that purpose is. Yeah. But it is amazing how God works through you to accomplish certain things. So
while you're still trying to figure out what that purpose is, do you have any inkling like what it could be or how he could use archery in your life?
Not yet. Not yet. We'll figure it out. Okay.
So as you just said a little bit ago about shooting clean, archery is a very precise sport. Mental acuity is paramount to stay sharp and focused. How do you prepare yourself for that mental challenge every time you shoot?
Oh, so that is a very, very good point. In every competition differs in the pressure. So indoor tournaments especially are super pressurized because you miss one spot, you miss one $50 and you're completely out of the game. You go from getting first to getting maybe 20th. So first of all, the mindset going into that is you have to realize, okay, I can miss. What am I going to do about it? It doesn't define who I am. So acknowledging that at the beginning really helps set the tone for the rest of the tournament. Okay, God doesn't think less of me just because I missed a spot.
Right.
But also you do have to be very, very focused. So just breathing exercises help, of course. Just trying to really repeat the feel of the shot in your mind. That helps you going into that tournament.
Yeah. So, Gracen, every athlete, whether they're all pro or amateur, face obstacles. What are some obstacles that you've had to overcome in archery or horses?
The biggest obstacle I can think of is last year, right before Vegas, I had target panic. So target panic is when your subconscious takes over your conscious mind and you cannot control your shot. You cannot control your body when you get on that target. So you'll draw back, get on that target, and you can't even control your fingers hitting that trigger and making it go off. Completely ruins archers. Some professionals have to take years off just to get that out of their mind. So this couple tournaments before Vegas, so NFA Indoor Nationals, Lancaster, I was facing that really bad, and it made archery miserable. Mm-hmm. Every shot, you're just fighting that, trying not to just let your subconscious take over everything. So right before Vegas, I got into what's called a tension release. So it doesn't have a trigger, so your mind can't trigger it that way. You have to pull through your shot, which helps retrain your mind, ultimately, how to shoot a bow. So right before Vegas, I got that tension release going. It was really, really working. My shot felt better than ever, but there is always that possibility when you go back to a tournament, when you're in that pressurized situation, that it can come back just like that.
Really?
So going into Vegas, I wasn't sure what's going to happen. Again, my shot was feeling incredible, but there's always that possibility that target panic can come back just like that and completely ruin your shooting. So I went to Vegas with that, and luckily it did not come back. And was able to shoot really, really well.
Yeah, you shot a perfect score.
Yes.
So how common is that in archery to experience that?
It's extremely common. Every archer, I'm not going to say every archer, 99% of archers who have ever shot for a while have experienced some form of target panic. It can take all sorts of different forms. Like I said, it can be where you cannot even control your shot. You can't even get that pin down on that target without it going off, without your subconscious triggering that shot. But it can also take the form, I've had this too, where you can't get the shot to go off. And that is so frustrating because you'll be holding there. It's like, just come on, just go. But your mind will not let it go. Yeah. Ultimately, target panic is the fear of missing. Now, there is some aspects, I believe that statement, but there's also other aspects that go into that. But ultimately, it is the fear of missing the target.
That's what causes it.
Yes.
Okay. So is it true that while you're experiencing this before Vegas, that you didn't want to go to Vegas?
Oh, yeah. I didn't want to go. I looked at my dad, 3 weeks before. I said, Dad, I don't want to go to Vegas. I'm not shooting good. This target panic has just taken over. I need a break. But he says, well, plane tickets are already bought. We're going. So then we headed off and ended up shooting a perfect score.
Pretty nice encounter there for you.
Yes.
Yeah. What spiritual lessons can you draw from all this?
Oh, my goodness. From archery?
Yeah.
Well, first of all, you got to keep Christ as your target. If you don't keep him centered and focused in your life, well, you're going to get way off track. You have to trust him to be in control of your life. In archery, there's your conscious brain shooting and there's your subconscious brain shooting. If they're not working in harmony, you're not going to compete your best. So you have to have Christ. You have to have him control your life for it to make the most of it. So, of course, there's so many more references I can make, but those are the two main ones.
So in archery, and going back to the Vegas shoot where you had your 900 perfect score, is that the only perfect score you've ever shot? Or have you had more?
So there's all sorts of scores in archery to be considered perfect or not perfect. But yeah, I have shot other perfect scores. They're just on different targets.
So has shooting a perfect score become somewhat of an expectation?
Absolutely. Yeah. If I don't hold myself to that expectation, I won't get any better.
Recently, competitive archery has been added to as an Olympic sport. So you have an Olympic dream in front of you. So when the Olympic Committee made that announcement, how did you respond? How did you react? Did you see yourself possibly being on Team USA?
Yeah, so when that news came out, I was super excited, but then also at the same time, I was going to attend here as a full-time student, and then when that news came out, I realized I'd have to pick one or the other.
Right.
And I was super excited about coming here, being a full-time student on campus. So it was exciting when that news came out because the possibility is very real. I mean, that opportunity may not ever present itself again.
Yeah.
But also I had to make a choice. So it was either go here on campus as a traditional student or stay home and really practice for that dream.
And you decided to pursue both.
Yes.
And we'll talk about the how you pursuing Cedarville education a little bit later on the podcast. But in terms of the Olympics, what's it going to take for you to make the team?
It'll take a ton of practice. So you have to go to, right now, at least the format is, you have to go to the 4 USAT qualifiers. So there's 4 tournaments across the United States that right now determine Team USA for target archery. So one of them is in California. There's one in Arizona, Florida, and Ohio. They're going to switch some of those locations. Still, some of the details aren't super specific. But I'll have to probably go to all those. They take the top male, the top female scores from all those tournaments, and then that determines the USA Olympic team.
How many members are on the team?
So there's for the team, there's just one spot for each. The male, one spot for the male, one spot for the female.
Okay, so it's a very small team.
Oh yeah, very, very small.
So when you know yourself and you've seen what you can do, how do you feel about your opportunity to make the team? You confident?
I've got a lot of work to do. I mean, I have to compete against the best in the world to get that one spot, and that will not be an easy thing to do. But I've competed with those ladies before, and I'm sure I can do it again.
So when you say it's going to take a lot of work, what are some areas of archery that you really want to focus on that you feel like you need to get better to be on that team?
So the USA Archery, they're going to be shooting the 50 meters. And that distance, that's 55 yards, it exposes every flaw you have. Even if you don't have any flaws, it's hard to shoot at that distance. Then the target they shoot at, it has a yellow center, and that is very, very hard to aim at, for your mind to aim at and to get good groups. So just a lot of shooting at that distance, at that target, a lot of mental preparation especially goes into that, because when you go to those tournaments, they'll have a qualifying round, which isn't really that stressful, but then they have head-to-head eliminations, and you have to really, really be on your game, really be in tune with your bow and shoot your best to be able to work your way up to that winning spot.
Okay, let's get technical a little bit.
Okay.
So the U.S. Olympic Committee has decided to add archery to the Olympics, right? But in reality, that's not totally true, because before we had archery with recurve. Now, in 2028, they're adding compound archery. What's the difference between the two?
Compound bows.
And remember, you're talking to people who don't understand this.
Okay. Compound bows have cams on them, so it's very, very mechanical with how you shoot. When you draw back, there's let off, meaning that you're not holding that full weight of the bow when you pull it back. And let off can vary from, I don't know, like 70% all the way up to like 95%. So there's quite a range there. Recurve, it does not have those cams, does not have those wheels, no mechanical. So you're holding, when you draw back, you're holding all that weight. The bows look very, very different. Recurve bows are much, much longer. Compound bows are very short compared to recurve. So that's the main differences between them. Is
one easier to shoot than the other, or just depends on the person?
Compound bows are a lot easier to shoot.
Why?
It's easier to be accurate. You can have scopes. Of course, that let off really, really helps. The amount of pressure you apply when you get back to full draw, that really helps it be accurate. If you really pull through a recurve bow, that shot's gonna be really, really bad, as opposed to if you're back on a compound bow, you're full back and you're really pulling. It might go a little high, but the effects aren't gonna be as bad.
Okay, so let's dream a little bit. We're in 2028. The Olympics are in Los Angeles, right?
Yes.
Okay, so you're home turf, and you made the team, and you won. You won the gold medal. Thoughts on that? Dreams on that? Can you even comprehend that could be a reality?
It'd be cool. It'd be so cool. It's fun to dream about, but man, getting there is a challenge.
I'm sure you're gonna do everything you can to be in that position, whether the Lord allows it or not.
Absolutely.
And if He doesn't, you'll give Him the glory all the way. So I'm gonna put you on the spot. What's your greatest strength in archery?
My mental game's good. And just being able, really consistent, really be able to shoot shot after shot the same way without letting outside sources bother me.
Okay. And so what's your greatest weakness? What's the one area that you say, well, okay, if I can improve on this, I have a good opportunity to make Team USA?
I would say being in that pressurized spot and then just having complete control over my body, over my nerves. My mental game's good, but just sometimes your body starts shaking really badly and it's really, really hard to make a good shot. So that would be the one area I have to work on.
So as you train, and this will be my last question about the Olympics before we switch to Cedarville, what motivates you and how do you stay motivated?
Winning motivates me. Losing motivates me, especially that losing
Probably
part.
more so, right? Losing?
Absolutely. Winning keeps you going, but losing motivates you to keep going and to get better and better and better. So yeah, those are the main things. And just doing it for the glory of God. I mean, He's given me this gift. He's given every archer this gift. So why not use it for Him? Why not try to win for Him?
Why not? That's the name of the game. Do your best, glorify God in the process, and then see where the results fall. Hopefully you're on top. So earlier you mentioned you're at a crossroads where you won the Vegas shoot and you had the dream for the Olympics in front of you. So you had to make a decision: college at Cedarville or archery. And on the outside, it looks like you chose archery, but in reality, you didn't. You chose both because Cedarville came out with a brand new, totally online undergraduate program for the first time in our history. When did you hear about that new program, and what were your thoughts when you realized you could do both?
Yeah, so when I learned about that, again, it was right at the crossroads. I had just come off winning Vegas. I was like, all right, this is so cool. Made a name for myself in the sport. I'm really, really improving my game. I have a chance at doing well in this professional circuit, perhaps make a living doing this. But at the same time, I don't want to rely on archery. So I want to go to Cedarville, get a good education. So that was my main priority right then. Then, like you said, the Olympics announcement came up. I was like, oh, I was even more torn. So then right during that stage is when Cedarville announced their online courses and their online degrees. And it was just a blessing from God. And so I chose that because, like I said, I don't want to rely on archery as an income. So I do want to have a good degree to fall back on. And it's just good to have a higher education.
And what are you studying? Are you studying accounting?
Accounting, yes.
And what was it about Cedarville, whether it was online or on ground, on campus, that made you want to come and learn here at Cedarville University?
Cedarville is Christ-focused in all they do. They have very, very strong academics. They have a very sound biblical worldview, and they integrate that into all they do. It's so hard to find a university that is like that actually sticks to their beliefs, and that's why I chose Cedarville.
So when you've been a Cedarville student for a semester, okay, how has this semester gone learning online? Was that a new way for you to learn?
Yes and no. I've been homeschooled all my life, so I've never had that traditional classroom setting per se. Online schooling wasn't really a whole lot different because, again, in homeschooling, I had to teach myself a lot of things. If I had a question, of course, I could go to my teacher and she'd tell me. But most of the time, I had to do my learning on myself or through an online program. So it hasn't varied a whole lot that way. There are some challenges, of course, the other day, Canvas crashed. So that was hard.
Right.
I was like, uh-oh, what do I do now? So, of course, that is a downside. But overall, it's been a very good experience.
Let's speak a little bit about chapel online. What's the experience like in your living room or wherever you watch chapel as a family? What's it like? What's the atmosphere like?
So the music, of course, is very good. It gets you in the mood for listening to the speaker. And it's just cool to see what kind of songs they come up with and new arrangements. Us being a family, big into music, that's always cool to see. But then, of course, the speakers are so good and they just enrich your day. They really get you off on the right foot.
What's a typical day like for you? Are you doing your homework at night, in the early morning, or how do you have to have some kind of structure, right?
Yes. Yeah.
What's your structure like?
So right now we start at 6:30. We all go downstairs. We watch news broadcast called World Watch. So that's only like 10 minutes. And then we watch the Cedarville Chapel. So that's usually about an hour. After that,
Who's we?
My family and I.
Okay, you all do it together.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
We really appreciate that chapel. It's incredible. Anyway, so after chapel, then I do my schoolwork from about 8 o'clock to wherever I get it done or feel like I got a good handle on stuff. So that's usually 5, 6, 7 o'clock. After that, I usually shoot my bow for about an hour. And then if I still have time after that, then I ride horses.
So you go all day long.
Yes, I do.
And you do that 5 days a week? Mostly because chapel's only 5 days a week, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll do homework if I'm a little bit behind or need to catch up. I'll do those on the weekends as well.
What's been your most favorite class so far?
I really enjoyed my accounting class. My professor was excellent.
Who is that?
Professor Ostoff, Elizabeth Ostoff.
Okay.
She was excellent. I learned so much in that class. Of course, it's an accounting class. It's a whole new world for me, but I really enjoyed it.
Would you recommend other students, for whatever reason, whether it's financial or they're training for the Olympics or whatever you want to say, that they should consider the Cedarville undergraduate online program?
Oh, absolutely. It's a great platform to learn on.
Why so?
Flexible, like I said earlier. So far, I haven't seen too many disadvantages from being in person. Of course, in person is always best, I believe, if you can, because of just the connections you make with other peers your age, with professors. You get that more human contact, but online allows you flexibility, allows you to pursue other interests, or if, like you said, finances don't allow you to come here in person, it's a great option.
So you're studying accounting. You mentioned potentially after college or maybe during college, I don't know, that you could be a professional archery expert, whatever you call yourself. How will accounting help you in your post-archery career or during your archery career?
It'll give me something to lean back on. I'm sure if income from archery is not substantial. And it gives me the flexibility to live anywhere and gives me the job opportunities. I mean, goodness, accounting job opportunities abound. So it'll give me that flexibility. As far as being directly correlated with archery, there's not really much there, but it'll give me a lot of flexibility in that way.
As my final question is, I think forward to 2028, that could be a real big year, right?
It could.
That's both the Olympics, your college journey. What do you hope people remember most about your story as you move closer to 2028 and maybe hopefully representing the United States in the Olympics?
Well, I hope they see that I did it all for the glory of God. That is the pinnacle point of doing it. And just live out your dream. I mean, follow something. If God has put it in your path, pursue it. That's
great advice. Let me before we close, let me talk to those watching and listening to the podcast. Gracen has a fascinating story, and maybe your story is just like that. Maybe you're not able to come to Cedarville for whatever reason, but the online program could be a great fit for you. I encourage you to go to Cedarville's website, cedarville.edu, to learn more about our online undergraduate program. I know there's more programs coming up in the coming years that will be added, so it could be a great opportunity. Gracen, I appreciate you coming in the studio. Enjoy your time on campus today and this week. And most of all, thanks for being a great ambassador for Jesus and for being on today's Cedarville Stories Podcast. Great to have you here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to the Cedarville Stories Podcast, brought to you by Cedarville University. To learn more about Cedarville University, visit our website at cedarville.edu. And be sure to come back next week when we'll share another Cedarville story for God's glory.